Now that President Biden is back in the U.S., he will address the nation tonight in a primetime address. On his flight back, the president said he was blunt with Israeli leaders about the need for humanitarian aid in Gaza.
Israel has been badly victimized, but, you know, the truth is that if they have an opportunity to relieve the suffering of people who have nowhere to go, they're going to be, it's what they should do. And if they don't, they'll be held accountable.
So Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with more ahead of the president's speech. You know, Ed, good morning. I got to say, you know, when I found out that the president's meeting in Jordan was canceled, I thought maybe this trip would not be as effective as initially we all hoped for. Turns out it was actually pretty effective.
Yeah, at least the White House certainly thinks so at this point. We'll see long term whether not meeting with Arab leaders would have worked. The White House says the president's speech tonight is designed to lay out how the U.S. will respond to the Hamas attacks on Israel and to the continuing war in Ukraine. CBS News has learned the White House is preparing to ask Congress for roughly $100 billion over the next year. It would address the conflict in Israel. That would include ensuring Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system is fully supplied. But most of the money would fund the ongoing war in Ukraine, a conflict that is obviously focused on defeating Russia. It would also provide more security assistance to Taiwan as it faces aggression from China, plus U.S. border security funding, which is a big ask of Republicans and some Democrats concerned about that issue. While in Israel, the president announced the U.S. will also provide a separate $100 million in humanitarian assistance for the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank. But already several Republican lawmakers and GOP presidential candidates say they oppose any humanitarian relief for Palestinians without guarantees that the money won't end up in the hands of Hamas. We're going to get a good test of that once those 10 trucks pass over the Rafah crossing. The president set to speak tonight from the Oval Office, only the second time he's given that kind of a speech from that location, which speaks to how at least he sees this as a really important moment to explain things not only to the American people and to Congress, but to the world.
So, speaking of Congress, the funding request will have to be approved by Congress. And as you know, the House isn't doing anything right now because they're trying to pick a speaker. But, you know, it's not just that. He is marrying aid to Ukraine with aid to Israel. Aid to Israel, there's pretty much unanimous support for that. Aid to Ukraine, small but vocal group of lawmakers that would like to slow that down a little bit, let's say. So, you know, can you talk a little bit about kind of the challenges or maybe benefits of marrying those two aid packages together?
The thought in marrying them is that it will force those upset about the Ukraine funding or details of it, or maybe not happy with some of the Israel funding, to vote for everything else. Because taken together, these three global challenges plus one big domestic one, border security, are sort of seen as a, you know, why wouldn't you support it in one way or another? The question is whether they all stay married or whether there's a divorce, in essence. Whether some of this funding has to be split off from the rest because it's too politically toxic for some and they want an up or down vote on it, or whether it can all be slammed through. And it's going to depend on who's speaker, how quickly not only keeping the lights on across the federal government around Thanksgiving time again can be done, but whether this gets tacked onto that or has to be done separately, and what the shape of the opposition looks like regarding various elements of this. There are going to be Democrats concerned about the border security funding. There are going to be some concerned about the fact that most of this request has to do with Ukraine, but that is an expensive and ongoing project. This week, for example, Ukrainian pilots are in the United States getting ready to train on F-16s, and long-range missiles that can hit almost 100 miles away have been delivered secretly to Ukraine, and they started using them this week. So paying for those kinds of things is expensive, and that's why the president's asking for a full year's worth, so that at the height of a campaign next year, Congress and the White House aren't fighting over these kinds of details.
So we saw the president make a rare visit to the press area aboard Air Force One during that trip. You know, I know he just recently talked to 60 Minutes, but he's actually not a guy who kind of opens himself up to the media like that in that way very frequently. I imagine a lot of questions were asked. So what else did the president have to say?
If he's doing that, he thinks he had a good day. And so they certainly think he did. And this is an important opportunity to educate people. Air Force One's gorgeous piece of aviation, large aircraft, but there is not enough space for everybody in the White House press corps. So you send 13 members of the press corps who constitute the photographers, the wire services, a cameraman, an audio guy, and a producer from the TV networks, and a few newspaper reporters. They sit in the back of the plane, back by the kitchen, and the president's always invited to stop by. Ideally on the record, but off the record's fine too if he just wants to say hello. What he walked reporters through are some of the details of his conversations, not only with the Israelis, but with the Arab leadership. And he said, look, Egypt especially has been helpful with this. They understand the situation. They want to get humanitarian relief in. Obviously disappointing that they didn't have that meeting in person, but he said, look, I'm talking to all these leaders anyway. They're staying engaged with us. I'm okay with that. Notably, at the end, and we didn't realize this because not all the footage fed back before the plane took off again. This happened when they were refueling in Germany. But overnight in the footage, we see that the president was asked at the end of the conversation whether he thinks Israel has been abiding by the sort of standard rules of war. He walked away and didn't answer that question. So that should give you a sense of sort of where his thinking is on all this. He's supportive of Israel. He's willing to put up billions of dollars and expand and spend political capital being there for them. But he continues to have concern about how military operations are being executed and may be executed going forward.
Really interesting, Ed. Thank you very much. Well, tonight, the president will speak from the Oval Office to address the ongoing wars in both Israel and Ukraine. You can stream that right here at 8 p.m. Eastern.